What's up, tech sellers? Jamil here, and in this week's free lesson, I'm going to take you through a mindset shift that is very important to have as an account manager or an account executive in tech, and that is a concept called the Account Concierge. And this is a special way to master the customer experience and differentiate yourself from the pack as a non-technical seller in tech sales. Let's check it out. So in this lesson, we're going to discover what the Account Concierge is, why it's so beneficial to be this account concierge, especially when you're early on in your tech sales career, and how we can apply this concept to your tech sales role and make sure you stand out from the pack of other tech AEs. So if this is the first time you've actually encountered me before, my name is Jamil Raymond. I am a 2x top 1% account executive at Cisco and Telstra Enterprise. Last year, I was Cisco's #1 mid-market seller worldwide, gone over 10 years without missing quota with an average of 152%. And now I've got a little business and a mission where I'm trying to educate the next generation of tech seller with the skills, knowledge, and insights I wish I had when I started my career in tech sales. All right, so let's learn about tech sales and making it a little bit more fun to digest. So, what is a concierge? If you recognize this fella here, a concierge is the first person that you would meet at a hotel. Usually when you go to a fancy hotel, if you're lucky enough to do so, you will meet a concierge just like this. This guy, Gustav, was from the Grand Budapest Hotel, which is a movie by Wes Anderson, so you might recognize him if you're a bit of a movie buff. But essentially, a hotel concierge is there to curate and make sure you have an amazing experience at the hotel. Okay, they are there to make sure that you have the best experience possible, that you have a curated, personalized experience, and that you love and you want to come back as a result. And these concierges, they know how to work the machine behind them, the hotel behind them. They know how to work the local area to make sure they can get all these little tools and tips and tricks to personalize and curate the experience just the way you like it. Okay, so what can a concierge usually do? They're personalizing the experience of the hotel for you. They know if you like the little mint on your pillow before you go to bed. Maybe they can get those concert tickets or that restaurant seat that is pretty booked out, but they know someone and they can do a special deal just for you. Or they are curating their team behind them of the bellboys and the other hotel staff to make sure that everyone is aligned in the same direction to make sure you have a fantastic experience. So they are curating, right, and being very intentional about making sure that every piece of the journey is tailored to your needs, okay? So this account concierge concept is something that I sort of came up with a few years ago and has been a really important mindset shift for me as someone that was in technology sales as a non-technical person. I was struggling to find ways to add value because I felt like I was intimidated by the fact that I wasn't technical. And in my first few years at Telstra Enterprise, I was overwhelmed by the breadth of the company because I had to deal with 5 different architectures, 20 different vendors, all of the domain experts. It's overwhelming. So to become that trusted technology advisor, I'm better off being the frontline experience and finding the right people inside the organization to add value as opposed to being the person that creates the technical value on its own. So that's why I did it, is to go, I might not know everything, but I can find the right people that can to personalize and maximize your experience, okay? And it's very important to do this when you're the account executive or the people person in technology because you're developing the personal brand. You as the salesperson, as the relationship manager, you are the last mile of marketing, you are the last mile of the brand experience, which is the differentiator for a lot of customers about who they deal with because of the personalized service they get and the ability for you to understand the customer intimately. And the more you can do that as the people person in tech, as the account executive, the better your relationships will be and the more that you will sell and keep long-term customers happy, okay? And then on top of that, finalizing, understanding, developing the right to sell, which is a different concept about making sure the customer is in a buying mood and having a positive experience with you and the brand so that they actually want to progress doing business with you in the future, okay? Why it's really important to do this and why it's such a valuable mindset shift and approach to have is because there is a huge disconnect between a consumer or a B2C experience for a high value product versus a high value B2B product. And here's a perfect example, okay? If I was to go out and buy a Rolex, right, spend $20,000 on a watch, You better believe when I'm going to that Rolex store, it's a beautiful shop. You know, I'm getting a personalized experience. Everyone's wearing a suit. They're giving me a coffee. They're helping personalize that experience all the way down to purchase. They're giving you the nice box with the ribbon, and they're probably going to give you a couple of perks on top of that. But if someone else, you know, a CIO, a CTO, was to spend 10 times the amount of that on a technology solution, the best they're going to get is a shitty spreadsheet and BOM that makes no sense to them, you know, a hastily put together slide deck of what it is, and not a lot of explanation in between. So there's a significant disconnect in a high value experience that if you can take advantage of and curate, will set you apart compared to other account managers or other account executives who are not putting in that level of detail to the customer experience. And I can tell you now, based on experience, the vast majority of them are not considerate of their experience at all. So the approach that you want to have around being the account concierge is to be the front door of your organization. You are the face of the brand, you are there as the greeter, you are the first point of contact, and you go find the right people to solve the problem for your customer, right? You find the engineer, you find the experts. Maybe if you've got little perks in the business, like football tickets or a dinner somewhere, you're making sure that you're looking after your customers and doing that little, you know, not everyone gets this, but I'm gonna do this just for you. Right? So you are that front door, you find the right people, you are the connector, and you are that frontline experience curator as well, okay? Another element to this and why it's so important to be the account concierge is that a concierge is trying to create a frictionless sales experience, right? You are trying to create a fantastic sales experience with the customer so they feel like they're being taken on a journey with minimal friction. And what is that friction? It might be disconnects between the buyer's experience and the seller's experience. It might be pain points. It might be objections. It might be just those little things where you can tell in your opportunities are stalling because there is a roadblock or an obstacle. So with experience, if you can anticipate these and remove them ahead of time, that's going to create a significantly better experience for you and the customer. And the best analogy I have for that is this thing called curling, which is a Canadian/Northern American sport. And basically what happens here in curling is that these ladies here have thrown a rock on ice and they're trying to aim for a target. And these ladies with the brushes, what they're trying to do is remove or add friction to the sliding rock to try and absolutely nail that rock into the target. Right? So they're probably removing friction or adding to it just to make sure that they are on point. And that is the same analogy you want, right? You want to make sure that it's smooth all the way to close. And you want to do that with iteration and experience and making sure you understand the customer's buying journey and the experience that you create alongside it, okay? So how do we apply being an account concierge into your routine, into your business as an account executive? Well, number one, you have to consider your customer experience. You are a personal brand. You are not a company person. You need to be considerate of the experience of who you are as an account executive. You, as a great tech seller, own your business, own your experience, own your portfolio and customers. You are a small business of one with the might and capability of your technology business behind you, okay? So wherever those pain points are, wherever the sticking points are in your customer opportunities and engagements, analyze that. How can you remove that next time? How can you anticipate that, right? Get ahead of the experience so you're not caught up in the same issues over and over again. When you are handing off to a resource, to an exec, to whatever it is, you want to provide context. You don't just want to handball customers and go speak to this person. You want to warm introduce. You want to provide the context of the conversation. You want to add the why we're having this conversation and what they're curious about in the first place. Because realistically, your customers are only talking to you because they think you have a problem that you can solve. So you need to be contextualizing that problem and adding the expertise to the people that you bring in to make sure that you're solving that problem, again, as smoothly as possible. And, you know, customer experience, brand experience is a team sport. You work in a sales pod, in a sales team. You need to be willing to give the feedback to your SEs, to whatever resources you have about, hey, next time maybe we should approach it from this angle because the customer seems a little bit iffy, right? You have to be considerate of that experience, anticipate it. It's a team sport, okay? It's not just about you. So some questions to ask yourself in every engagement to consider this mindset of being an account concierge is how can I exceed customer expectations? How can I personalize this experience and make it smoother, which is point 2. Right? You would have gone through opportunities of your product multiple times. You should have taken note of where the pain points, the obstacles, the stalls are. How can you anticipate removing that so next time around with your next customer, you don't have those problems? And if you do feel like you've lost a customer, or you can feel they're not as welcoming, or you feel like you've losing them a little bit, you understand that feel of like, oh, they didn't quite like that. Think about that, analyze it, observe it. Again, how can we mitigate that in future engagements with this customer or other ones as well? A great bit of reading, bit of homework. This fantastic book here, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. Will Guidara was the owner of a fancy New York restaurant that was world-renowned for its personalized service. And the key lessons around that is about the personalization, right? Hospitality, you are a service. You as a salesperson are a service. You are hospitable to solve your customers' problems. Adopt that mindset. Making sure that you are getting into the customer's trusted emotional and personal network as opposed to just focusing on technology and business. See if you can personalize, right? Customers want to feel like they're made to feel important. Very similar to the Rolex versus the spreadsheet conversation we talked about before. And find ways to surprise and delight. How can you exceed the expectations of your customer and wow them? Because I'll tell you right now, folks, just by caring about this stuff, it's going to put you a couple of steps ahead of most account executives who are just struggling and blathering their way to get the sale. Okay? So, in summary for this lesson, guys, you want to adopt the mindset of being a concierge, owning the customer experience, being that front door curation of the customer experience from beginning to end. Okay? Think about what the expectations are of your customers, anticipate, exceed them, right? And think about your sales experience. Not the process, the experience, and how you can mitigate that friction to make sure it's smooth and make sure the customer is happy at the absolute end. Okay? So, that's it for this lesson. If you want more elite tips on how to be a great non-technical person in tech sales, I've just released something called the Account Executives Toolkit. This is everything you need to succeed as a tech sales AE based on my 10 years of unbeaten tech sales experience. You can see there, I've got documented sales and account management processes, templates, support from myself, 10 years of unbeaten experience in just 2 hours of content. Absolutely killer stuff, just $249. Killer value, absolutely insane. Check it out on the website. I'll put a link somewhere down or up. You'll find it. And thanks for paying attention. See you next week. Ciao for now.